Hello and welcome to something new on the channel with me, Mr. Grand 2, as we take charge of Bournemouth and bid to save them from relegation. Now, if you've been on the channel before, this is not replacing Careering Onwards, that's still going to go, but that's been going on for a while, and I wanted to do something else too, especially now we know that FM21 will be a bit delayed, and this is it. And we're going to be doing it live in the sense of it being like a stream, in the sense that it will be unedited, because I don't have time to do any more editing. I hate editing, it takes ages. So we're going to do this one like this, which will be, in some ways, you know, you can see more of the process of things, but also there'll be a lot more loading and a lot more rambling and just useless mistakes than usual, but there we are. So why have we chosen Bournemouth for this? Well, I mean, obviously they've had a meteoric rise up the divisions in the last decade or so under Eddie Howe, but now, after 5 years in the Premier League, they have been relegated. Eddie Howe has gone as well. So can we, in this alternate reality, this reset of the season, can we replace Eddie Howe a year earlier? And can we keep them up? Can we then push them on? Can we get a new stadium? Because that's kind of the big thing. They've got a stadium equivalent to a team still in League Two. Let's see what happens. Now, I mean, this is going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of problems, and when we get into this, I think there's a big reason why Bournemouth did get relegated this season. But anyway, they have today confirmed the appointment of me as the club's new manager. It's raised eyebrows. Everything raises eyebrows in this game. But we've got £43,500 a week, which seems quite a lot for a club like Bournemouth. But anyway, here we go. Let's get into it. Now, let's see. The chairman, Jeff Moyson, welcoming us to the club. Not a rich history. Obviously, only won trophies as they went up the divisions, winning the championship, winning League One, and they've previously won the EFL trophy. And again, the stadium is the biggest issue, as we said. Dean Court, 11,464 capacity, built in 1910. We need to improve the facilities too. That's really the biggest issue. But I think the media prediction of 14th, obviously they didn't reach that in real life. Let's see what we can do. Now, the preferred formation, it's not what we're going to be using. That's what we're going to be changing. I think that the style of football that Eddie Howe made famous is something we're going to be trying to replicate in kind of a roundabout way. But the formation is going to be something we need to tweak. 4-4-2. Unless you're Burnley, it doesn't really work too much. But anyway, we'll look at all this in a minute as we get into the club vision, play possession football, play attacking football. That's definitely going to be something we're going to try to do. Well, as much as is physically possible, work within the wage budget. They want a mid-table finish and then reaching the 5th and 4th rounds of the Cups respectively, and then longer term they just want to be a top half side. So not the highest ambitions yet. That will change if we have any success, which will really depend on whether we do or not. But we'll schedule all these, confirm that, get this saved as well. And I mean, you can see how long it's going to take to save, which is an indication of how long the loading times will be. We'll cut this out. Okay, here we are. We take charge of Bournemouth, and let's get straight into this. Now, today, I should say, as we go through this, every episode's going to be, I'm going to aim for about 45 minutes, maybe slightly more, slightly less. We'll see. Don't want to go too much longer than that. And in terms of it being like fully live, I think we might sort of, as we get into the season, we might skip over certain months of games potentially, just so we're not doing the entire thing. But each individual episode will be as live. But anyway, right, here we go. We've got a lot of stuff we need to look through before we even click continue once. We need to have a lot of stuff we need to look through at the start of a save, of course, as we set up the club. Eddie Howe he's gone. There's a lot of structure in place that he had that we need to sort of look at and review. So let's just go through these first of all. Players in the last years of their contracts. Obviously, Ryan Fraser, the big one. He, of course, in real life, walked out on them before the end of the season, the delayed end to the season, and that's one of the reasons why they went down. So we need to get him a new contract. He is wanted by Everton, but you can see he's pretty good. He's pretty good. So, I mean, is he interested? He is interested, so that's good. So we will get that sorted in a minute when we look at the old transfer stuff. So that's definitely one of the priorities on our list. Everyone else whose contract is up is pretty old. Sermon, Daniels, Boric, except for Jordan Ibe, who, again, he's nowhere near as good, but we might kind of need him because our squad is a bit thin. So potentially we'll look to renew his contract too. But we'll see as we go through. So all of this stuff I'm just going to skip over because I played the game before, we're late on in the game cycle. So tactics induction, skip all that. Club vision we've already looked at. I'm not going to negotiate it, just going to accept it for now. Pre-season reports, all this sort of stuff. Lots of players are injured. We'll look at that in a second. That's kind of the biggest issue. In fact, let's just go there straight away. So yeah, medical centre. This is the biggest issue we have. We've got 7 players out with major injuries. All of them are going to be out for a minimum of 3 months. Lloyd Kelly is out for 7 weeks to 3 months. Adam Smith is out for 3 to 4 months. Dan Gosling 4 to 5 months. Arnaud Danjuma, who completely forgotten really, he's out for 6 months. Junior Stanislas out for 7 months. David Brooks is out for 10 months. And Charlie Daniels is out for over a year. So that's good. So most of our wingers are injured. That's probably the biggest issue we have at the moment. We're going to need to be making some transfer moves pretty quickly to get the squad up to scratch. But the first thing we're going to do, as ever, is we're going to look at the old staff because I'm not really familiar too much with Eddie Howe's backroom team. Looking at the ratings here, actually not too bad. 4th for defending in the entire Premier League is not too bad at all. So I think actually probably we're quite good. Let's have a look at this. Look at the old assistant manager first of all. Jason Tyndall, Eddie Howe's long-term assistant, may well become the next permanent manager. He looks quite good. He does look quite good actually. Pretty well-rounded mental attributes. Some good judging. I mean, he's nothing too special in terms of coaching. But I think for now, in terms of continuity, we will keep him. I imagine at some point Eddie Howe will get a job and then we'll try and get him in, but he'll do for now. Head of youth development. Now the board don't really want us to necessarily develop young players, but that's something I want to look to do. We want to try and run the club as sensibly as possible because obviously some pretty dodgy signings have been made. Dominic Solanke, Jordan Ibe, really. We want to run the club as sensibly as possible. This guy is pretty good. I've seen worse head of youth developments. We'll give him a few seasons, give him a go. He's only 28, so he's basically a youth himself. And then let's look at the rest of these. So goalkeeping coach Neil Moss, okay. Anthony White, not great. We could probably upgrade him. And then he's got 4 coaches, no fitness coaches. We've only got 1 spot, so I'm probably going to sack one of these guys because I definitely like 2 fitness coaches because we are going to be playing a very, very high tempo style of football. Stephen Perch is pretty decent, not too amazing, but he'll do for now. Hugo Faria is kind of, mental attributes are not great. He's got quite a lot of knowledge though, so maybe he's just got a very average, very, very 11s. Would be a big fan of Spinal Tap. Now Steve Fletcher, obviously Bournemouth legend, maybe would be pretty harsh to get rid of him. He's been here for a very long time now as they've come up the divisions, but again, not really anything special. And then Simon Weatherstone, again, just sort of extremely average, which is pretty much what I would expect from a club like Bournemouth. Now we've got 1 space. I think we're going to have to be a bit harsh and get rid of. I'm going to keep Fletcher for this season at least, but Faria and Weatherstone, I'm going to get rid of them. Now, obviously, we'll start the save. We can just offer these boys both mutual termination, which is obviously good. Just get rid of them, and then they will accept that, and they will be out of here. So we're going to get rid of them. We've got 1 space anyway. That brings in 2 more spaces. So we're going to need to bring in 3 coaches. I'm going to get in 2 fitness coaches, and then another coach just for sort of what are we sort of lacking most of all. Probably defensive actually. Even when we were the 4th in the division. It says there, but we've got, it's lower than attacking. Where we're 3rd in there. Just quite a distorted bar graph there. Not sure I really approve of that one, but anyway, I think I would like to get a defensive coach in because it's just sort of that we want to be as strong defensively as we can. But let's look at fitness coaches first of all. Go on fitness coaches and make sure the only attribute we really care about is fitness. Put it on 18. Only 3 people. who want to join. Felix Ledesma here he's pretty good, pretty well-rounded mentals as well. He wants to be an under-18s physio. We're going to give him a higher job with that one, but his wages, yeah, he's not interested. His wages are too high. That's unfortunate. Jose Cabello, again, decent. He's got 18 fitness, that will do. He's a bit more reasonable. He's prepared to join. That one's good. And we've got Steve Haynes as well. Terrible mentals. Not going to go with that. So we're going to go down to 17. Now we've got a few more options. I like to go for the ones who are unemployed. Obviously, save a bit of money. Don't have to pay any compensation. Martins Ventura is reasonable. Carlos Cocheda is... I mean, he's alright, isn't he? He's not awful. Is there anyone else? Marcelo Ayaya? It looks like kind of an insurance company surname. Anyway, he's a level of discipline, but then that's not too bad. I think we'll go with him if we can get his wages down. He wants to be an under-18s coach, so we should be able to persuade him to join. Just accept lower money. We'll put his contract up there in terms of duration. There we go. He's accepted. Brilliant. Right. And then I want to get a defensive coach. I think if we can have a nice, stable defensive coach, that would be good. Let's see who we've got here. We've got Wilson. Wilson. He is wanted by a lot of people. He's really good, though. Really nice mental attributes. Pretty good coaching one. But certainly for defensiveness, we could go with Ivan Cordoba. Very experienced. He's got really nice mental attributes, actually. 18 defending as well. So I think, yeah, go with him. Ivan Cordoba, why not? Get a bit of Colombian fight. He can help out Jefferson Lerma as well. Although he's not interested. He's not interested. We'll give him a 5-year deal. He wants too much money. Right, well, fine. We don't need your Colombian fire and passion. I mean, do we go with Wilson, or do we look at maybe getting someone else in? Kevin O'Connor. He's good, isn't he? From Brentford. We could just steal Brentford's coach from Brentford. Yeah, he again though, way too much money. Our coaching wage capacity is not great. Okay, he's not gonna accept it. What about Wilson? The original choice. He looks like he's probably going to accept relatively low in terms of wages. Put him on a 4-year deal. There we go. Right. Sorted. There we go. Brilliant stuff. Right. We're going to quickly look at the medical and scouting teams as well. Not too fussed about them straight away, but we do want to make sure we don't have any duds in terms of scouting. And immediately I can see that we do. Our scouting department, we only have 2 scouts and a chief scout, and they are all pretty rubbish, which is not what we want. And maybe that's part of the reason why Bournemouth makes such terrible signings. Mark Birchall here is useless, absolutely rubbish. You're off, mate. And we've got Andy Burton, who, well, his potential's pretty good, but he doesn't know how good they are now. So no, I want a minimum of, ideally, 14. Simon Ward, I mean, you're clinging on, mate. 13 and 12, absolutely clinging on. Let's see who's available in terms of better scouts, because surely we can do better than that. We'll search by these two, the 2 most important attributes for a scout. Got it on 17. Only 2 people interested at the moment. He's a director of football, so he's not going to be that interested. Jose Luis Calderon. Now that's what I'm talking about in terms of scouting. Does he want to join? He does, but his wage demands are far beyond what we have on offer. So no, we're going to have to go down then. We'll go down to 15s, because 15 is considerably better than anything else. I'm going to I like to sort by age, because generally the younger scouts are they're more likely to accept probably slightly lower money. Kevin Hunt, 15, that's decent. Get him in, just wants to be a regular scout. Very nice. We've got a lot of spaces for scouts. It's a very empty scouting department. Rui Lamoso, Portuguese, bit of knowledge of South America too. Good, get him in. Big improvement on what we've got. This guy as well, Jose Laranjera, again, similar thing. Always good to have. He wants to be Chief Scout though. Maybe could do better for Chief Scout. I'm not going to get him in straight away. But already we can see big improvements on what we had before. Perugia's scouts, a lot of recommendations there. This guy from Perugia, again decent. Get some knowledge of the Italian divisions in there as well. Is there anyone really good we want to get in as a Chief Scout? Because we have obviously sacked the Chief Scout. Any sort of familiar names? Derek Langley not coming up. The old faithful. I will stand by. Stuart Harvey, I recall being pretty good. He's pretty good from Blackburn. He wants to be Chief Scout. Right, we'll get him in. We'll fill that out a bit more later. But we've got some considerably better scouts than we had, which should make, we look for players in a minute, should make should be a lot easier. Now, I just want to look at the medical department as well. We've got 2 out of 4 physios, but we have 1 too many sports scientists, which we might just not mention that to the board, see if they don't notice. Are these guys good? 13, 12, 13. So not great, but I've seen considerably worse. So we'll leave that for now. What about the old head of sports science? Yeah, not great, but that's a more long-term issue. Physios, Johnny King 16, Nick Court 13, and Steve Hard 17. Well, okay. We can definitely improve all of those, but we can certainly improve Nick Court. You're off, mate. Sorry about that. Let's see who is available. I mean, there's usually loads and loads and loads of physios available with 20 physiotherapy. I'm not really sure if other attributes are necessarily critically important, but to me, I think as long as I've got 20 physiotherapy, that's fine. So Andy Renshaw, here we are, 20 physiotherapy. That's apparently the only attribute he needs. He's only got 10 determination, but he's got 20 physiotherapy. That's the most important thing. He wants to be an under 18 sports scientist, which setting his ambitions low there. We have again very low staff wage limits. This is frustrating. We'll give him a 4-year deal. No, he's still not interested. 5-year deal. He's fine. Right, he'll go with that one. So again, that's already an improvement. Could potentially get someone else in. Might do that sort of later on. I think I don't like sort of disrupting the backroom team too much in one big hit. I mean, to be fair, we have kind of done that. We have kind of just got rid of a lot of people, but there'll be more options available, maybe a bit cheaper options available as well as we go on. So that will do for now. We'll add a bit more as we go, but let's have a look at some of the other stuff now too. So staff responsibilities is what I'm going to go to now. We kept Jason Tyndall, which is good because it means I can just give him quite a lot of responsibilities. And in terms of staff, this has been, I want to sort of tweak this as we go. So hiring director of football, technical director, leave that with the chairman. Don't care about that at all. Loan manager as well, not interested. Don't care. Head of youth development, I want to take control of that. And the chief scout, because we want to sort of, as we go through this, we will take more control of scouting, take a lot of control of youth development. We want to be in charge of that. Obviously, we want to be in charge of all these. And in terms of the youth team, I mean, I think it's just kind of, there's a lot of youth team positions where I'm not really necessarily bothered. Like, I don't care about the youth scouting and youth medical team, particularly. Do we even have, are there separate youth scouts? Are there? I didn't even know that was a thing until now. Anyway, we'll leave that as they are for now. And the staff coaching courses we'll leave to the control of the board. Now scouting, I'm going to leave in the control of Simon Ward for the time being. Or no, not Simon Ward, because we're getting Stuart Harvey in, so we'll get rid of Simon Ward. But we will leave it in the control of Stuart Harvey for the time being. Transfers, this is important. We need to make sure we are in charge of this one. And I have got the responsibility for most things, but this is the thing here. I don't want the AI-controlled staff members to be wasting my money, but I don't mind them having a look for players. So in terms of signing young players for the youth teams, going to let Bruce Sarachi here, he's going to have the opportunity to go and put bids in for players and negotiate transfers. But then in terms of finalising those deals and in terms of finalising sales, I want to take control of that to make sure he doesn't waste my money, because we're a club of relatively limited resources. Now, media. Yeah, I'm not going to do new signing press conferences or tunnel interviews. The waste of time. I'm going to keep press conferences on there for now because it's sometimes useful to do, but I will mostly just be sending Jason Tyndall to do them instead. Training's the big one. Jason Tyndall is going to be doing first team training, the general training, because again, don't have time for that particularly. We might tweak it as we go occasionally, but just leave that for him. I will be doing individual training though, and then obviously youth teams, not bothered about that one. We will take charge of individual players training if they're a particularly good prospect. Tactics, Jason Tyndall's going to do tactical briefing because it's completely pointless, and everything else will leave as it is. And in terms of matches, I think what we're going to do is, this is sort of, friendlies irritate me immensely because generally speaking the AI is pretty useless at pretty much everything. So I'm going to untick backroom staff arrange friendlies because I want to sort of make sure that they don't schedule too many. And in terms of leading friendlies, I think I'm gonna keep it for now, but we might delegate it if we have too many. Let's look at that for now. Look at the schedule. And classic AI here, we've got 4 friendlies in the space of just over a week, all away from home in Austria. So we're on a tour of Austria. We then have no friendlies scheduled for about 3 weeks before the start of the season, which is genius, absolute genius. We're going to cancel this one because it's in 2 days' time. And then we're going to cancel this one. We don't need 3 friendlies against lower league Austrian teams. That seems superfluous. We're going to add in a few more. We're going to add them in at home just to maximise our money. We're going to go with a small team before the start of the season, just to sort of make sure morale is nice and high. No, not really massive fees for many of these guys. We'll go with Dover. Why not? Similar sort of seasidey place or coastal place. Anyway, we'll put that a week before the Wolves game, and then we'll put someone a little bit better. Getting out a foreign team, Dinamo Zagreb. Why not? Dinamo Zagreb. Put them in there. The amount of money we're getting from these is negligible because obviously we have such a tiny stadium. It's not particularly great. Now that's better. Friendly's more sort of spread out. I don't want too many. 4 or 5 is really the maximum. But let's have a look at our old fixture list as we go. We're starting at home to Wolves, away at Everton, then Man United, then Leicester. It's not the easiest start, really, is it? We've got some kinder games as we go on. Are there any sort of massive patches where we're playing big teams in a row? There is. Liverpool, City and Spurs and Arsenal all in a row. That's going to be fun, isn't it? So I'm not ideal, but pretty standard, pretty reasonable in terms of that. Obviously, we know the expectations. The board wants us to get mid-table, which I'm just going to be happy if we don't get relegated, to be honest, given what happened in real life. But anyway, we've set up the scout, we've set up the staff, done most of that. What we need to do now is, of course, the tactic, and we're going to go through the squad and see what we need to do. Now, I'm not a tactical genius. We are going to be going with the tactic that I have most success with this year. I didn't make this tactic, it is mine. I didn't get it from anywhere else. It is the first time I've ever made a tactic for Football Manager. And I made it for the beta save that I did, Chelsea Challenge. Watch that one if you haven't done so already. I basically just accidentally made a good tactic. It's not amazing. We'll probably struggle quite a lot this season. It generally works better with the big teams. But then if you watch Careering Onwards, you will know that we used it with Cambridge United and that went okay. So it's reasonable. It's pretty solid. Kind of. We will probably get trashed about 7-0 quite often as we start things off, but then we will win some other games as well. It's just a relatively standard tactic. I think that I'm not a tactical genius. Don't really know what I'm doing in terms of tactics, but you know, I've made this. I blundered my way into it, and it kind of works. And in terms of the style of football, it's quite fast paced. Kind of, I mean, we're controlling the possession, sort of. Like, we're not controlling it massively. It's passing out from the back, of course, but it's mostly about running. It's mostly about pressing, running, high tempo. That's the key thing. Lots and lots of pace, therefore, is needed. Quick counter-attacks, quick breaks, moving the ball fluidly between all the players, and just working the ball, working chances, crossing into the box, going through the middle as well. Not really sort of specifying, any sort of side, just all over the pitch to sort of outmuscle and outspeed the opponents to try and score as many goals as possible. When it works, it's really good, but it might take a few transfer windows for us to get the squad where we need to. Now let's have a look. We'll plug in the players that we have and sort of see how we go. Now the default tactic I have is available on the Steam Workshop if you're interested, but I need to actually change the roles because it's better like this. Anyway, goalkeeper. We have got Aaron Ramsdale, who is pretty good. He's got some decent attributes. I think he's still very young, a lot of potential. The key thing for me about Ramsdale is I thought he was Bournemouth club trained. Well, there we go. That's ruined him then. He's trained at Sheffield United. How long has he been here for? Oh, it's because he's loaned him out. I mean, people say Eddie Howe's a genius. Is he really? So he's 21 years old. He could have been a club-trained player. The only club-trained player in the first team, I might add. But he's not because you kept loaning him out. Well, he's good, but he's not irreplaceable now because he doesn't actually qualify as club-trained. If we need to, if we end up in Europe at some point, we're going to need at least a couple of players who are club-trained, for the squad registration type thing. The only player in the entire world that is club-trained is Danny Ings. So we're going to have to re-sign Danny Ings at some point. Anyway, go off the track. Ramsdale's a perfectly good goalkeeper. Boric is a solid backup. Begovic, whose career seems to have fallen off a cliff, he's on loan at AC Milan. We cannot recall him from loan, so hopefully we don't need him. We have got some good youth team goalkeepers. We'll look at the youth team in a moment. Now, right back would be Adam Smith, but he's obviously injured for 4 months. So, yep, Simon Francis is okay. We're going to go with Jack Stacey, though, because he's the only solid right back we have. He's quite good, actually. Physically very good. Not great passing, but yeah, Jack Stacey from Luton, I believe they signed him. Yeah, he's quite good. So that'll do for now. And we've got Simon Francis to cover. Don't need anyone else for that. Left back, we've got Diego Rico, who's going to have to play because everyone else is injured. Charlie Daniels is injured, as we saw, for ages. Lloyd Kelly is going to be out for a while as well. Now, Nathan Ake can play there, but I think we'll probably be all right. We'll be all right once Kelly gets back to fitness. So probably not the priority in terms of bringing a player in, but maybe a question mark at that. Now, defence, central defence, looking pretty good. Nathan Ake obviously going to be on the left, and then Steve Cook, Chris Mepham. I mean, I like Chris Mepham a lot. One of my favourite players on the game this year. Develops really nicely. Maybe not going to start for us this season, but because we got the experience of Steve Cook there. But Chris Mepham, more than capable as a third choice, and will probably become first choice in a relatively short space of time. Midfield, this is my biggest concern because, well, you can see there, we only have, Dan Gosling's not even coming up. Look on this one. We don't have many midfielders, and Dan Gosling is out for 5 months. That's obviously a bit of a concern. So deep line playmaker, which is kind of the key to the whole system really, is going to be Lewis Cook, because I think Lewis Cook is, apart from his marking, which is pretty poor, I think he's really good. I think he could be a superstar in this. Obviously, lots of potential ability. I've not seen him develop as well on this year's game as he has done in recent FMs, but I think he could be pretty fantastic. Box to box, Jefferson Lerma, if he doesn't get sent off, could be great. And then Mazzala, well, this is probably the position we need to get someone in. I think Philip Billing is, he's an option there. He's left-footed. We'll put him there for now, but that's potentially somewhere we need to look to bring someone in. In fact, it definitely is, because if we look at this, so Lerma, Cook and Billing, fine. We've got Andrew Sermon, who is kind of past it. He's only got 8 pace, but he will have to stay because we haven't got anyone else, because Gosling's out injured. So definitely need to get in at least 1, probably 2 midfielders. That's the main piece of shopping we need to do. The wings, I think we've already talked about, this is where we've got the largest amount of injuries, which is obviously a bit of a concern. Left hand side, I'm going to play Harry Wilson there because he's left footed, and then on the right hand side I'm probably going to play Ryan Fraser there, because while he is more natural on the left, he's pretty natural on the right, and he is obviously naturally right footed, so that's good. So Wilson and Fraser, we're fine with that. Jordan Ibe is here, he's going to try his best, he's fit. Josh King is probably going to play on the wings. Not really necessarily convinced by him as a striker. Not convinced by him in any position, to be honest. His technicals are pretty awful. For a player as sort of sought after as Josh King, I guess he's sort of, I don't know, he had that really good season, didn't he? But I'm not convinced by him. And then obviously Brooks will play when he's back, which will not be for pretty much the whole season. Stanislas and Danjuma obviously out for pretty much the whole year too. So this is kind of an area where we need to strengthen. Probably want to get someone else in. Maybe not though, because we've got Josh King. We might get someone else in, but I don't want to get anyone in permanently, because we've obviously got 3 wingers who are here, but they're just injured. So we don't want to replace them necessarily permanently just yet. Striker, obviously Callum Wilson is going to start. He is the most overpowered player in FM history. Love him. Get him in there. Josh King, obviously, is a backup. Dominic Solanke, the much maligned Dominic Solanke, actually quite good from an FM perspective. So I think we're fine for strikers. So the area we need to strengthen, probably another winger, get in on loan, and then definitely a couple of midfielders, and then maybe a left back, but I'm not too sure. Actually, centre back, we've got Ake, Cook, Mepham, and then Jack Simpson is pretty good. So yeah, I think we're fine for that. So it's not too bad actually. Development centre, no one is particularly standing out as being someone we need for the first team. But let's have a look at the old youth teams and see in terms of potential who we have got here. Mark Travers, perfectly good third choice goalkeeper. He played the last game of last season. The final, he played the final game in the year before Bournemouth got relegated, and everyone thought he was going to become their first choice, and then they brought Ramsdale back and he became first choice instead. So bad luck to him. Ryan Glover, decent potential. He was really good last year. He's absolutely terrible this year. He's got 4-star potential, but in terms of current attributes, 14 pace, 14 acceleration, 13 dribbling. Otherwise, no. I mean, if we're desperate, he could play, but I'm not particularly encouraged by that. These guys are out on loan. Camp, 20 determination, could be good. And Jolly, some decent attributes, but nothing amazing. So, not much help there. In terms of the under 18s, Jack Wadham, no. So, clearly need to improve here. Let's just actually on that subject now let's look at finances. We've got 7 million in the bank, which is not good. Projected to be in debt at the end of the season. We're going to spend some money in a minute, so it's going to be even worse. Facilities is what I want to look at. We have obviously got a tiny stadium. We've said that. Youth facilities, not good. Average average data analysis, average corporate, good training, average coaching, average youth recruitment, youth level of 3. Now compare this to someone like Burnley, a pretty similar club in a lot of ways. Burnley recently got an a level 1 academy status granted to them, which is obviously really good. They've got massively improved facilities as well. This is what Bournemouth really needed to have done, I think, but they didn't. And now they've been relegated, so that's going to be an issue for them. But anyway, right, transfers. This is what we want to look at now. Transfers. Jermaine Defoe, of course, is at the club, but he's going to be joining Rangers, so we can't rely on him. He's still good. We can't get him back. We can't get him back, can we? That's a shame. Actually, I want to look at loans first, because can we bring anyone back? There's one player in particular I'd like to bring back, and that is Harry Arter, because I think he would fit in. He would solve a lot of our midfield issues. He's really good. He's either-footed too. Can we bring him back? No, is the answer. He's on loan at Fulham. We can't bring him back. Well, that's just brilliant, isn't it? That's really fantastic. I would love to bring Harry Arter back, but no, we can't. Okay then, fine. We've got £61,000 a week in the old wage budget, which is quite good, and we've got 12.75 million to spend. Not too bad. Let's have a look at who we can get in. We're up to 36 minutes already on this, so we might go a little bit longer today as it's the first one. Let's have a look. So our 2 recommended players are Vinicius Jr., okay, and Max Aarons. I mean, could cost up to 93 million. I do have a habit of signing Max Aarons for an extremely large amount of money, but not at this point. Not at this point. We apparently could sign Vinicius Jr., which seems a bit silly. Is he interested in a loan move? No. Well, Real Madrid aren't interested, so that's out of the question. Right, we're going to go on the old player search. We're going to improve the old scouting packages. Don't know why it's always set so low, because you can afford all of them if you as long as you've got £720,000 in the scouting budget, you can afford all of them. It's not an issue. Anyway, right, so we want a winger on loan, probably, and we want a couple of midfielders, and then maybe a left back, and I think that will sort of do us. So let's have a look and see who's available sort of for the lowest price. Who's we could get Donny van de Beek. I mean, he would be amazing, but I don't think we can really afford him on what we have at the moment. I'm not sure we've got the funds for that one, as I've just knocked my microphone over like an absolute genius. This is the joys of being live, really. Anyway, I think what position or what role do we really need someone in? I think probably Mazzala, because Billing he's not bad at it, but he's not a natural. He's not the most attacking. He's actually pretty good. He's not got any really low attributes for the role at all. He could be a really good Mazzala, and the fact he's left-footed too. I'd like his finishing to be a bit higher, but actually he's not too bad there at all. He could be a very functional, solid option for us in all 3 positions, really. Lerma is definitely a box-to-box midfielder. He's going to get sent off at some point, I would imagine. And obviously we've seen Lewis Cook. We know how good he is. So it's really just depth, really. Sermon is kind of past it. So I mean, he can kind of play. He's a natural as a deep line playmaker. He's got quite good passing. Box to box, not bad. He's just a bit slow. He's not really a Mazzala. I think we need another Mazzala, because I'm not sure how good Billing will necessarily be. And then, I mean, someone that can just play ideally all the roles, but certainly box to box and deep line playmaker. That would be relatively sensible. So let's have a look at this. We'll go for Mazzala first of all. It's quite a tricky position to pinpoint the absolutely necessary attributes, because it's kind of like you want it to be very good attacking. It's kind of an attacking midfield, a central attacking midfield role, but it's also, what am I even looking at? I want role here, but it's also kind of you want it to be a little bit defensive too. Like Mason Mount for me is a perfect Mazzala, because he's really good from an attacking standpoint. Great passing, great vision, great dribbling, but he's also he can tackle and he can mark to at least a reasonable level, which is what ideally you want to have. Let's just see if anyone sort of stands out at the moment. Will Hughes, I think, would be great. He's left-footed, which I really like, but again, far too expensive. Far too expensive. Well, let's filter this by a few key attributes. We'll put in some things. I think dribbling is key. I want technique and passing, probably vision, and then a bit of pace as well. That's probably the most important stuff. We'll put it down to 13. Just see if it gives us anyone interesting for a sort of reasonable price. We'll go down a bit to something. We don't want to be spending loads and loads of money. Now, Sandro Tonali, we've got Lewis Cook, but Sandro Tonali would be amazing. I think he'll cost us far too much money though. I'll shortlist him for the future, obviously, but I'm pretty sure he's got a relegation release clause. Apparently not anymore. He might get one put in, but just a player worth being aware of. Obviously, if you're the only person in the world who doesn't know about him and his brilliance, I think if you've played this game, you will know how good he is. Everyone knows how good he is. He's very, very good. He's very, very good. Right, there's a lot of names here. Not familiar with too many of them, to be honest, but that's good. It's nice to sign players who you're not necessarily familiar with. I'm going to drop the age down, go down to 27, because we want to get some players who have a pretty good high resale value. Jamie Shackleton at Leeds is an option. We'll get him scouted. There's sort of plenty of scope for what we want to do with this. I think we'll lower this down a little bit to see. Put them all down to 12. See if anyone else comes up who sort of really grabs the attention. Cyprian, Wyland Cyprian at Nice is someone I've used before. It's decent. We'll get a scout report on him. He is a natural as a Mazzala. Could be an option. Josh De Silva at Brentford. Not too crazy in terms of attacking output, but very solid. And he is left-footed too. Could be an option. Viktor Kovalenko at Shakhtar. Wanted by Crystal Palace. I mean, maybe this is the kind of level player we need to be looking at. Get him scouted. He's more of a central attacking midfielder, higher up the pitch, but he's a natural Mazzala. Natural box-to-box as well, although again, can't mark particularly, but he could be the one. He looks quite good. He does look quite good. John Swift at Reading, again, not the craziest, not great determination, but looks okay. Could be decent. Ronaldo Vieira at Sampdoria, again, more of a defensive midfielder, more for deeper down, but could be quite good. I think it's just worth scouting a lot of these people anyway. Excuse me, just so we are aware of them going forwards. They might not necessarily be players we get in right now, but they could be players we get in later down the line. Brian Haynen, again, he would be good. He would be very good at Genk. Probably going to want quite a lot of money for him, though. They don't usually sell players on the cheap. Svanberg, pretty good. I don't know. Some options here. Definitely some options. Ibrahim Sangare as well. Potentially as a backup. If we use Billing as a Mazzala, then he could be another option for box-to-box. Could play Mazzala too. Could play deep line playmaker again. Very solid looking player. Decent potential option there. Or Rasmus Falk as well would be. And there's a lot of choices here that we could pick up, and a lot of these guys will probably be relatively affordable. Yari Vasharin, again at Anderlecht, probably going to want a lot of money for him. He could be pretty special though, probably more suited for a winger role. Could potentially get him in on loan as the wing coverage. Anyway, so there's quite a few options here. We'll go with those for now. We can always come back and scout again. once the old reports come back. Now we're going to look at some slightly more defensive midfielders, although I do quite like Sangare. I think if we can afford him, he could be pretty good. But let's just look briefly if we're looking for a slightly more defensive option in this position. So I'm going to go work rate, positioning, marking, passing, tackling. We'll put this down to 13 as well. I think for me, passing is the keyest thing. We want good solid passing, sensible passing. We've got Nemanja Matic is transfer listed. Can't really afford him though. Christopher Raya would be great, but I think he's going to be out of our price range. For now, we'll go down. I mean, Manu Moralenas from Villarreal, pretty good. Dribbling of 7 is an issue, but otherwise not too bad in quite a lot of midfield roles. He could be an option for sure. I mean, no one else. No one. I'll be honest. I'm basically just going based on people I've heard of, rather than necessarily just scouting all of these, which we may well have to do if these guys prove out of our price range. But we'll see. We'll see what we can get for that. See what comes back for that. Now wingers. I want to look at wingers, and for this, I want dribbling. I want crossing, finishing, passing, pace, and acceleration. We'll put that down to 12. And obviously, we're not going to buy a winger, but if we can get someone in on loan, then I think that would be pretty good. Who is interested? Jahanbash, which will be fun to say, he's transfer listed, but he's interested in a loan. He's not the quickest. And he is right-footed, which I don't know. I think maybe do we need another left-footer? Is that kind of, we've got Harry Wilson, obviously. Josh King is not left-footed, is he? And Ryan Fraser is obviously right-footed too. I think so. Yeah, we probably need to get another left-footer in if we can. We'll scout him. He might be an option. If he's got a reasonable left foot, then that's okay. I'm not too bothered about whether he's got a fully natural left foot. In fact, let's just put that in. I want left foot to be at least fairly strong, and we'll put this down to 11. See if we can pick some more people up. Right, here we go. So Yoshinori Muto, we could just get someone in from Newcastle. Maybe he's not amazing, is he? But he could be good. Angel Gomez, obviously he left Man United now to join Lille. There's issues there, but 20 flair, I like that. He's either footed, could be an option. We'll get him scouted. Amin Younes is terrible natural fitness, but everything else is pretty good. Could be a decent option because, of course, this is only going to be on loan, so we don't have to worry too much about whether they are going to be necessarily the best option long term. Nicholas Eliasson is, I don't think he's really worth it. He's kind of a bit championship. I'm going to put some of these down to 10. See if we get anything else up. Not really anyone interested particularly. We could bring back John Iturbe. Was he there? There, yeah. Wasn't he the guy they had before? Or was I thinking of someone else? Yeah, he was. They had him before. There you go. Amazing. Two appearances in the Premier League. Did absolutely nothing. We just let's just get him back. He's not bad, actually. He's not bad. And he knows the club. He knows the area. Knows where the training facilities are. Knows where the toilets are. Maybe he's the option. Maybe he's the one we just look to bring back. Anyway, let's go forwards a bit and we'll see what we get back from these scouting reports, and also sort out all this. We've not even gone anywhere yet. I've been rambling on for 50 minutes. We've not even gone anywhere yet. We're just going to accept all these contract cancellations and confirm all the stuff we've done, and then we'll go forwards. So let's just we'll go forwards a bit, see if we can get a response. We'll stop at 60 minutes, but we'll go forwards a couple of days, 10 more minutes or so. Probably stop before the first friendly, see if we can get all the staff we've approached in, look at the scout reports as well, and see what we want to do with that. So, homegrown players update is Well, Travers he's not homegrown yet, but he will be. That could be useful going forwards. Otherwise, no one really amazingly well. Code of conduct, we'll ask Jason Tindall to pick this one, and that seems pretty reasonable to me. Just confirm that. I tend to find we usually get harsher and harsher as the seasons go on, but that will do for now. Team report. Well, we've kind of already been through the team. There's a lot of negatives here, which I think we kind of know about. We just need to get better players in, to be honest. We need to get better players in. A lot of the guys we tried to sign are being approached by other people, which is great stuff, really brilliant. Really need that one. Introduce ourselves to the squad. This is what we want to do. I'm the new Bournemouth manager. Sorry, I'm not Eddie Howe. This season we are looking for mid-table. They love that. Brilliant. We've not immediately made them hate us, which is always a good sign. That's what we want to see. Now, let's just go forwards a bit. Got a few more minutes before we get to the hour. And of course, we've got our wonderful press conference. I forgot about this. We will go to the press conference. I'm just going to pick the first option for the most part, because it's the standard one. Our wage budget is quite small. I think we've got quite a lot of spare capacity, so I'm all right with that. So I might bring it up. What I tried to do to Bournemouth, because they got relegated, but obviously we're not going to mention that one. No reservations. I'm an attack-minded coach. We love Eddie Howe. The squad is terrible, but I'm not going to say that. Have you met the players yet? Yep, I did it 5 minutes ago. Literally seconds ago in real time. They want a fresh start. Fans are important. Aim high. Literally just the top option all the time. I've got to work hard. I love Lewis Cook. There we go. Right, brilliant. That was fun. We won't be going to any other ones if we can at all avoid it. Real Madrid bidding for Lucas Leiva there. A bit of a throwback. Fantastic. Brilliant stuff. And we've got some more news. Stoke have bid for Andy Sermon, which it's not a massive bid, is it? 1.3 million potentially. They want a wage contribution, which is a lot of his wages actually. And he's going to be unsettled if we don't accept it. Well, I don't really want to accept it, Andrew, because while you are transfer listed, this would leave us with 3 midfielders. Now, obviously, we're going to bring in a couple, but no, I don't really want to sell you, and not for that price. Not with the wage contribution, so we're going to reject that. I don't mind accepting a bid, but not anything that low. It's mostly it's the wage contribution. That's what I'm most irritated by. I don't want to accept that. Stuart Harvey, though, he's in as our new chief scout. Brilliant stuff. And Wilson is our new coach, defensive coach, which is great as well. At least some people want to join us. And can we get anyone else? All right, more people coming in. Send him on an intensive course. Marcello Ayaya, he's joined us too. Andy Renshaw, Jose Cabela, and Piero Lombardi too. Brilliant, excellent. We're kind of filling out the entire staff with a bit of better stuff. We need to do Ryan Fraser's contract. I mustn't forget that. Let's do that now. Did it just say Aaron Ramsdale? Transfer list Aaron Ramsdale because he may run down his contract. Why? Why are you unhappy? He's not unhappy. Why? I mean, what are you talking about, Jason? We'll just trigger his extension clause for now anyway, because that's slightly easier. He's not. What are you talking about, Jason? Truly baffling. Truly baffling. Anyway, right, we need to renew Ryan Fraser's contract. He's on £35,000 a week. He wants to be an important player, which is fair enough, but we'll try and get him on regular starter, just get it a bit cheaper. He's not interested in that, so we'll just accept that one. He wants 56,000, which is a lot for a club like us, but nothing too crazy. We could probably get it down a little bit. Relegation release clause, fine with that, because we're not getting relegated. We're going to save the club, and otherwise, not bad. I'll give him a Team of the Year bonus of, that's pretty reasonable. We'll put it down a little bit though. And then let's try and get this down. I mean, we're going to try and get it down as low as possible. And again, for the signing on bonus, I want that to be as low as possible too. 45 seems reasonable. Again, so he's negotiating. his agent, Sienna Goodman here, not very patient. Very impatient. So we've got to be reasonable. We'll go to 47. And then I want to try and knock this down a little bit too. I'm there. Okay. Probably could have gone a bit lower, but she's accepted that one, and I'm kind of fine with that. That will do. Keeping one of our most important assets at the club. He's not leaving on free. That will do nicely. And we have got our first friendly, which is something. I don't really want to play that today, but we could just appoint. We could get Jason to do it, couldn't we? We could just get Jason to do it, but what I want to see is these scout reports back, but most of them are on hold, and we're not going to be able to see them for a while, because we decided to scout Sandro Tonali instead, and we only have 3 scouts at the moment. We only have 3 scouts. Let's just. The thing is, I don't really want to leave our assistant in charge purely because of the amount of injuries we have. The AI is terrible at making subs. Absolutely terrible at making subs. So what will happen is he will pick 11 players. He will probably only sub about 3 of them, and therefore someone will probably get injured, which we can't afford at the moment. But then equally, I don't want to have to play all of them because they're quite boring. Probably play the game against Dinamo Zagreb and Dover, but I want to kind of skip over these. So it's kind of a gamble about what we do. Do we just not play it, or do we take charge and then do that next time, or do we just sort of leave, just sort of hope that he doesn't do anything stupid and no one gets injured? It's a bit of a gamble. I think we're gonna have to play it, but we'll play it next time. That's what we're gonna do next time. Next time we will be back for the rest of pre-season. We won't play it. Probably won't play all the friendlies, but we'll see what happens with that. We'll look at some transfers. Once the scout reports come back, we will start putting in some bids for some players, getting them in, and seeing how we can improve the squad better than Eddie Howe, because he tried his best. He did try his best, and it's a pretty difficult job, I think, given the injuries that we have. And then we will go into the season and see how far we can get. But thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe as well. It's long. This is what it's going to be like. It's a bit rambly. Hopefully you found it interesting. If you didn't find it interesting, then that's fine. Just don't watch the next part. But there we go. Yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. This is weird. Goodbye.